electronics manufacturing in the country. अब देखो, recently Prime Minister Modi announced a $500 billion target for electronics manufacturing in India by 2030. By 2030, India should be growing $500 billion worth. India should be producing $500 billion worth electronics. This is what the target is. Right now, our entire manufacturing sector's output is $660 billion. Entire manufacturing sector. मतलब food processing, kapda, sub manufacturing sector, mobile phones and all thing together produces $660 billion, and 2030 tak we want that only in electronics our manufacturing output should be $550 billion. A very ambitious target. A very ambitious target. Why do we want to do this? Why do we want to increase electronics manufacturing in the country? पहला सवाल ये है. ये दिखा रहा है कि we are looking at a very ambitious target. Why we are prioritizing it so much? One is economic growth. देखो, electronics is being used in almost everything now. हमारे studies में, हमारे health में, transportation में, refrigerator, like everything that we use electronics. Like all of you who is using mobile phones, who are using laptops, who are using smartwatches, who are watching these classes online, they've used electronics, right? So if we want economic growth to happen, every sector is going to, in a way, electronics is foundational and core industry, and a lot of other sectors depend on that. If we want to manufacture vehicles, if we want to manufacture e-vehicles, if we want to manufacture solar power panels, if we want to move towards renewable energy, what is needed? Electronics is needed. So why do we need to increase electronics manufacturing in the country? Because if we want economic growth, that would not happen without electronics manufacturing. Do we understand this? First reason. Second, employment. It has been seen that electronics sector or manufacturing sector in general is more labor intensive than service sector. So it can prevent India moving towards jobless growth. जैसे jobless growth क्या है? India में growth levels were high, but employment did not increase that much. Why? Because service sector में growth happened, and service sector is not job intensive. So if we promote what? If we promote electronic sector, it will also be labor intensive and thus will be creating more jobs. Then saving forex. Why saving forex? Right now we are import dependent on electronics. Look at this example. India imported electronic components worth 34 billion, making them the 5th most imported commodity. Electronics component, I'm not talking about the final product, laptops and mobile phones, just the components. We imported components worth $34 billion, which was the 5th largest import. Largest to apna crude hoga. You will see here, crude, then gold, then petroleum products, and then coal. So mostly energy wale and gold se hame zyada pyar hai. Right? We keep on buying a lot of gold for no reasons at all. कुछ भी करना है gold ले लो. So we have so much gold. In our temples, there are so much gold. But still, gold is one of the highest imported commodity in the country. But one of the biggest imported thing is electronics component. So if we are manufacturing it within the country, will our forex reserves be saved? Will our balance of payment improve? Our CAD will improve. Current account deficit wala situation will also not be there. So it will be crucial for economic growth. It will create employment. It will also be better for our balance of payment, for our forex reserve. Then advancements in AI, quantum technologies, etc. अब देखो, when we are talking about artificial intelligence, artificial general intelligence, है ना, वहां पे you need a lot of processing power, and that processing power will come through what? From electronics. right? Nvidia, why Nvidia has done so well as a company? It has become one of the highest capital value company recently because of advancement in artificial intelligence. In artificial intelligence, you need GPUs. To do a lot of processing, you need graphic processing units, GPUs, and those are basically what? Those are electronics product. So we need electronics manufacturing for making advancements in these technologies also. Then sustainable developments. For sustainable development, what do we want? We want more solar energy. Solar power panels are what? Electronics product. Then ensuring national security. देखो, domestic electronics manufacturing is necessary to ensure digital sovereignty, because even in defense equipments, you need electronics. A critical aspect of national security in today's world, critical sectors such as defense, telecom, electronics, and mobility are hugely impacted by chip shortage. एक बड़ा एग्जांपल होगा कि why your how your national security may get affected. रशिया एंड यूक्रेन में वॉर हो रहा है. रशिया पे a lot of countries have imposed sanctions, and thus Russia is not able to produce their missiles at scale. उनके precision guided missiles हैं, they are not able to produce them at scale because they needed electronics technology, because they were dependent on import. What happened? जब उन पे sanctions लगे, they got into trouble. Now some of you may say कि अच्छा हुआ, who are supporting Ukraine, but the point is that's an example. Tomorrow India may be in a war situation and we may not be able to produce our defense equipments at scale because we are dependent on import of electronics. So even for national security, it's important. Now you would see that Taiwan is a very small country and China keeps threatening Taiwan. But जैसे रशिया ने यूक्रेन पे अटैक कर दिया है, China will not dare to attack Taiwan. Or US will come openly in support of Taiwan. US did not come openly in support of Ukraine, but US will come openly in support of Taiwan. Do you know why? Not because US को बहुत प्यार है और सिक्योरिटी गारंटी दे रखी है. US किसी का नहीं है. It's because Taiwan has one of the most efficient electronics manufacturing system, and almost all the countries in the world are dependent on it, most especially the Western countries. तो if Taiwan पे चाइना ने कंट्रोल कर लिया, what would happen? Electronics manufacturing already monopolized हो रखा है. China would be able to further strengthen that more, and that will have negative impact on US security. Right? Understand the significance of what? Significance of electronics manufacturing. So we are saying, देखो यहाँ पे why did I start with context based introduction? I had to give context कि why do we want to increase manufacturing so much? तो इंट्रो में मैंने बोला कि as per Prime Minister Modi has set a target of $500 billion worth electronics manufacturing by 2030. It's a very ambitious target. It's a very ambitious target. Why is it? Why do we want to have such an ambitious target? Because electronics manufacturing is very crucial. It is crucial for economic growth. It is crucial for employment. It is crucial for saving forex reserve. It's crucial for newer technologies. It is crucial for national security. And we have some examples also why it is so crucial. Now, what is the current situation in India when it comes to electronics manufacturing? So, in recent years, India has become the second largest smartphone producer of the world. India में दुनिया में second largest number of smartphones produce हो रहे हैं. But we are mostly assembling them. Components are coming from China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, South Korea. We are bringing those components and assembling them. So India has emerged as a domestic assembly hub for smartphones. Today, almost all phones sold in India have been assembled locally in the country, with companies like Apple also exporting phones manufactured in India. In fact, last year, FY24 में, 2023-24 में, India exported smartphones worth $15 billion. उसमें से $10 billion were iPhones. But these are being assembled. India has emerged as an important assembly hub for smartphones. While facilities for assembling finished products have been growing in number steadily, fabs. What are fabs? What are fabs? Fabricating facilities, जहां पे आप semiconductors, transistors ये सब manufacture से बना रहे हो from silicon. Silicon is what? Silicon is something, silicon dioxide is something that you'll get in soil. You'll get in sand. Using that, you are manufacturing semiconductors. From semiconductors, you are making transistors, amplifiers. Using those, you are making chips. Those microchips, right now, we do what? We import from outside and then assemble here. So, when it comes to while facilities for assembling finished products have been growing in number steadily, fabs for making chipsets and manufacturing process for many electronics have not picked up in India yet. This is the situation right now. Got it? तो एक हमने context based introduction लिखा, context बता के if a question on electronics manufacturing is asked, we are saying कि recent context क्या है? Recently we have set a target of $500 billion of manufacturing electronics by 2030. Ambitious target. Why that target? Because it's very important. Currently, what is the scenario? In terms of assembly, we are assembling like smartphones, but अब वो smartphone का screen है, we are importing it. Smartphone की battery है, we are importing it. Smartphone के various electronics, other electronics equipments है, we are importing it, and we want to strengthen that too. To strengthen it, there are various government initiatives. There is National Policy on Electronics, which was launched in 2019. It is focused on increasing the production of electronic system design and manufacturing. It is focused on making India a global hub for electronic system design and manufacturing, ESDM. बाद में we came up with PLI scheme. Do we understand PLI? PLI is production linked incentive. Production linked incentive schemes में what happens? You are told कि if you are growing, if you are producing X amount, if you increase it to 2X, for this increase, we will give you some incentive. Production linked incentive scheme. The government has also launched production linked incentive scheme. Under this, 4 to 6% incentive is being provided on incremental sale of goods manufactured in India. So if you are manufacturing more goods in India, you are getting what? You are getting incentives. यहाँ पे even bigger companies, you will companies like Foxconn, जो दुनिया के सबसे बड़े electronic manufacturing companies hai, they have also under the scheme come to India, have expanded their production. So there is production linked incentive scheme for electronic sector. Then we also have modified scheme for semiconductor and display fab ecosystem, or basically a scheme for semiconductor and display fab ecosystem. It was announced in 2021 and is being implemented since 2022. It's a $10 billion. Us time $1 was of 76 rupees, so 76,000 crore rupees ka scheme hai. Under this, there are 5 different sub schemes. Why are we calling it modified scheme for semiconductor and display fab ecosystem? Please understand. Why are we calling it modified scheme for semiconductor and display fab ecosystem? इसके अंदर जो 5 components है ना, उसमें 2 types of supports are there. One is the support that you are getting for capital investment. You are coming and setting up factory in India. Government will say, we will provide you 50% of the money. And then there is incentive that you are getting for manufacturing, production. There are 2 kinds of incentive. We'll talk about it. Earlier, in different schemes, this how much percentage of support will be given here, how much percentage of support will be given here, were different. So suppose a player came to India and he started manufacturing from silicon. He started manufacturing transistors and other things. यहाँ पे the discount available, the incentive available by government was different. And from this making chipsets, यहाँ पे the incentive available was different. So it used to create confusion. The government did what? Government said, let us modify all this to bring uniformity. Modify schemes for all the, it is a scheme for the entire ecosystem. In this entire ecosystem, there are different phases. Existing schemes, let us modify them to bring uniformity in the benefits which government is providing in different phases of this entire electronics production ecosystem. Now do we understand? So why is it called a modified scheme for semiconductor and display fab ecosystem? इसके अंदर you will see $10 billion or 76,000 crore rupees have been allocated for the scheme, and following are the 5 schemes under this initiatives. One is semiconductor fab and display fab fabrication facilities. Semiconductor बनाने वाली fabrication facility और display बनाने वाली fabrication facility. For this, offer fiscal support of 50% of the project cost. When you are setting up a company, up to 50% of the project cost will be supported by Government of India under this on pari passu basis. What is meant by pari passu? Anyone? On equal basis. If you are adding 10 crore rupees, government will also support you with 10 crore rupees, 50%. Right? Basis to applicant who are eligible and have technology and capacity. So, if Foxconn tomorrow wants and set up a factory in India, government will say, you come and invest. We will give 50% of the capital support. So, अब ये capital support na, in all other schemes also they have made it 50. Earlier it used to be different. So it used to create confusion. So they have modified this to bring uniformity. You will say compound semiconductor silicon photonics sensors fab and semiconductor ATMP OSAT units. So basically यहाँ पे you created basic semiconductors. Using that you will create compound semiconductors or compound equipments. For that also, if you're creating facility, fiscal support of 50% on capital expenditure on pari passu basis to applicant who are found eligible. Uniformity आया. And in the entire ecosystem, when from silicon you are making semiconductor for that facility also, and from these semiconductors you are making compound semiconductors for that also. Are we able to understand what I'm trying to say? Then we have semiconductor design companies, the design linked incentive. For semiconductor design companies, we have design linked incentives. It shall extend product design linked incentive of up to 50% of eligible expenditure and product deployment linked incentive of 6 to 4% on net sales for 5 years. So basically here what would happen? देखो, if there is semiconductor manufacturing, semiconductor is manufactured, there is compound semiconductors getting created. Now using these semiconductors, you create chips. So chips pe there are on one very small chip, you can have millions of small semiconductors there. So you design those chips. So for creating those facilities, what do you have? Design linked incentives. यहाँ पे भी what do you get? 50% of the eligible expenditure on pari passu basis plus one for creating infrastructure for the production. There you get support, plus when you start manufacturing and selling it, there also you get 6 to 4% of incentive. जितना आप प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हो उतना 6 to 4% as incentive. तो production पे भी है. Here we have component of production linked incentive scheme also, and component of if you are investing in creating this facility, there also support is being given. Abhi recently you would see that in September 2024, government cleared 12 Indian startups for DLI scheme and has committed more than rupees 130 crore to their projects, which span from developing integrated circuit for telecommunication application to AI hardware accelerator, etc. So what are they creating? They are creating integrated circuits. They are not manufacturing semiconductors. They are not manufacturing compound semiconductors. वो पहले दो initiatives के अंदर है. Here, what are you doing? You are designing chipsets, integrated circuits. Are we getting it? So देखो, this scheme is for entire ecosystem. From silicon making semiconductors, from semiconductors making compound semiconductors, and then making integrated circuit. So design linked incentive scheme is for what? For creation of this integrated circuits. Do we understand this? पक्का सबको समझ में आ रहा है? Okay. Yes. हाँ बोलो. तो photonics क्या होता है? Please understand. We will study some these things in more detail in science, but any semiconductor, any electronic device that is either affected by light, that is, it can detect light or it can emit light. LED. LED is an electronic device. Can it emit light? So those things. Do we get it? Okay, let's come back. तो इसमें अभी एक एक टर्म समझने की जरूरत नहीं है. We will study that in science tech. यहाँ पे broadly समझो कि this scheme is for entire ecosystem where what we are doing, we are saying that 50% of your capital, if you are investing 500 crore rupees, 250 crore rupees का support कहाँ से आ रहा है? Government से आ रहा है. For what? For creating semiconductors from silicon, from semiconductors to compound semiconductors, and design linked incentive scheme is for creating integrated circuits or chips. Okay, then there were two other components. One is semiconductor lab. So what was happening here was in Mohali in 1980s we had a semiconductor laboratory. So this SCL was created in Mohali for the purpose of doing more research and development on semiconductors in India and eventually manufacturing semiconductors in India. It didn't do very well. In 1989, it faced an fire accident. Uske baad for 2-3 years, nothing happened here. And after that, eventually, it was transferred to Department of Space. कि आप उनके लिए थोड़ा इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स का काम कर दो. But recently, it has been brought under Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology again. And now there are plans that this semiconductor laboratory will be having joint ventures with foreign players to improve R&D related to semiconductors in the country. So MIT will take requisite steps for modernization and commercialization of semiconductor laboratory Mohali. MIT is exploring possibility of joint venture of SCL with a commercial fab partner to modernize the brownfield fab facility. Already approvals have been granted for modernization of the semiconductor complex limited in Chandigarh. Then एक मिशन इंडिया सेमीकंडक्टर मिशन. तो मिशन ब्रॉडर लेवल पे विल टॉक अबाउट in order to drive the long term strategies for developing a sustainable semiconductor and display ecosystem in the country. एक India semiconductor mission has been created. It will be a specialized and independent body which will be governed by global experts, which will have in it global experts to give suggestions. So through these 5 initiatives, in these 5 initiatives, government has said that it will be spending $10 billion, or $1 billion is around 8,000 crore rupees. $10 billion is 80,000 crore rupees. उस टाइम जब ये लॉन्च हुआ था, $10 billion was 76,000 rupees. तो 76,000 crore rupees. तो government has said that they'll be spending 76,000 crore rupees for these initiatives, for these 5 initiatives. So we have the policy 2019 wali, we have PLI scheme, and then we have these 5 schemes through which government is trying to improve electronics manufacturing in the country. Then for electronics manufacturing, FDI up to 100% is allowed. FDI up to 100% means a foreign company wants to come and own the entire company in India, fine. पूरा 100% पैसा उनका हो सकता है. They do not have to collaborate with some local players. Government has allowed it. You come and manufacture in India. Then international cooperation पे भी there are towards electronics manufacturing, there are several steps towards getting support from other countries too. For example, in September 2024 only, India and US have entered into an agreement to set up a semiconductor fabrication plant to make chips for use in national security, next generation telecommunication, and green energy application. So this plant will be set up for providing electronics equipment for these purposes for the use of India. This is a very big change in US relation with India, because अभी तक ना US ने कोई टेक्नोलॉजी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक टेक्नोलॉजी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग फॉर डिफेंस पर्पस के लिए इस तरह का एग्रीमेंट विद इंडिया हैड नॉट साइंड. इट इज कंसिडर्ड अ वाटरशेड एग्रीमेंट एज इट इज द फर्स्ट सच प्रोजेक्ट वेयर US military has agreed to a partnership in highly valued technology with India. ऐसे ही India and Singapore signed an MOU on the India-Singapore Semiconductor Ecosystem Partnership in September 2024. ऐसे India Japan के भी कुछ agreements हैं. तो basically we are collaborating with important players in the electronic sector in order to make electronic sector do well in the country, in order to increase the production manufacturing capacity of electronic sector in the country. Now, some major recent initiative. एक जो सबसे बड़ा इनिशिएटिव हुआ है, in March 2024 the Union Cabinet approved India's first semiconductor fabrication plant to be set up in Dholera, Gujarat by Tata Group. इंडिया का पहला फैब्रिक, तो इंडिया में सेमीकंडक्टर फैब्रिकेशन का कोई प्लांट कुछ है ही नहीं. फर्स्ट वन हैज बीन सेटअप, is being set up here. It will be set up in partnership with Taiwan-based Power Chip Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation (PSMC) and is expected to cost around 91,000 crore rupees. It is getting set up. इसका approval मिल गया है for setting up in Gujarat. Now, India has several advantages in electronics manufacturing. One is that we have an increasing domestic demand. Our population is high, our socio-economic condition is changing, and demand for electronics product is high. तो if we start manufacturing more electronics in the country, ऐसा नहीं होगा कि we will not be able to find market, even if protectionism is followed. Then positive outlook for future growth, because of recent government initiatives, because of many other things, it is said that India there is a lot of scope of growth of the electronic sector. Then human resource that is needed for setting up these factories. Now, human resource is not directly available, but the thing is कि all over the world electronics manufacturing की जितनी कंपनीज है, a lot of people of Indian diaspora work there. आप इंटेल में जाओगे, आप एनवीडिया में जाओगे, you will see that what is happening, a lot of Indians are working. So if those jobs are available within the country, if those jobs are available कहाँ पे, इंडिया में, there will be chances that we'll be able to get support from Indian diaspora for providing initial human resource support. Taiwan did something like this in 1980s. In 1980s जब वहाँ पे electronics manufacturing का beginning हो रहा था, the beginning happened like the biggest company there is owned by a person who came back from US and started a small factory there for manufacturing. So in terms of human resource also, we will be able to find people to work. Then government policies and initiative, government is already 80,000 crore, almost 76,000 crore rupee ka initiative government has already announced, and it may come up with more such things. Increasing cost of manufacturing in China, because China may they have their population is aging, so they are not able to find younger generation people to work, so their cost of and their labor cost is increasing. That provides us an opportunity. We can provide cheaper, good quality but cheaper production because of low labor cost. Then world is also looking at China plus strategy. What is China plus one strategy? Like, rather than depending only on China, there should be alternatives too, and India is in a position to become that alternative, and that is why हमें electronics manufacturing पे focus करना चाहिए. तो now करना तो चाहिए. We have a lot of potential, we have a lot of scope too. How do we do that? What are the key things that we keep in mind? What should be the way forward? First is, electronics manufacturing is not going to happen through small businesses. You have to go at scale, because China mein, Taiwan mein, things are being manufactured at large scale, and they are competitive. Just serving Indian market will not be enough. If you want to grow in electronic sector, you'll have to provide services, commodity to global market, and for that you have to be competitive. Competitive होने का मतलब है you should be able to develop as good a quality or better quality at equal or lower prices. If you keep on manufacturing things here at higher prices, you will not be able to replace China or replace Taiwan or develop your own electronics manufacturing company. And इसीलिए हमने यहाँ पे बोला है, focus on scale to achieve global competitiveness. From its beginning in Silicon Valley to its later centers, Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, and then more recently Shenzhen in China and North Key Economic Region in Vietnam, competitive regional clusters have driven growth in electronics. It has not been smaller units, inefficient units. It is clusters, regional clusters of electronics which are highly competitive, which have reduced their cost of production, have been successful. In India, two clusters in region like Sri Perumbudur in Tamil Nadu and Noida in Uttar Pradesh are emerging, where 50% of the exports or 50% of India's exports of electronics come from these two places. But these are still what? Assembly clusters. We have to create clusters of electronics manufacturing in general. Large size होने का फायदा क्या होगा? It will ensure that buyers and suppliers can be co-located. That is, the place where semiconductor is being manufactured, where integrated chips are being manufactured, there only assembly factories can be there. So transportation cost, all the demand, supply, all of that can be at one place. It will reduce the cost. Then there can also be shared industrial infrastructure, because semiconductor production will produce effluent. So we should have effluent treatment plants. So if we have a large scale facility, their common effluent treatment plant would be way cheaper than smaller facilities distributed throughout the country. So that is another thing. Then large zones also employ thousands of people. For example, अभी जो श्री पेरुम्बदूर है, वहां पे Foxconn की कंपनी है, it is employing 21,000 workers. Right? ऐसे ही, if you go to Chinese special Shenzhen, a Chinese special region, it alone exports $350 billion worth electronics. Its area is 2,000 square kilometer, and it employs lakhs of people. So for those people, water, housing, school, hospital, recreation facilities, etc., can also be created there in the nearby region only, in that cluster only. So what can this lead to? This can lead to easy workforce availability. This can lead to common facilities reducing cost. This can lead to buyers, suppliers all available in that cluster and make the system competitive. It is happening all over the world. US में जब Silicon Valley में it started, the same was the scenario there, and in other parts of the world also. Only these places have been very successful. We should focus on creating these big clusters. First aspect. Then our regulatory environment have to be very efficient. Regulatory environment में, for example, about labor laws. Now, India के labor laws are very rigid, very restrictive, which have hampered manufacturing sector in the past. For this cluster, we'll have to create an exception. Similarly, taxation and tariff reforms. Now, our taxes cannot be more than the taxes in Taiwan, taxes in Vietnam. Else, what would happen? If indirect taxes are higher here, they will go there. Direct taxes are higher here, the producers will go there. So we have to make a system where this tax system is rational as per the global standard. Similarly, when it comes to exports, imports, now Foxconn has some companies outside, some sectors inside. If import export may, there will be a lot of confusion, a lot of issues. They will not be very much interested in working in India. We'll have to rationalize that also. Then what we're saying is, जो ये cluster बनेगा, electronics manufacturing cluster, to manage that, let us create, जैसे local bodies बनती है ना, ऐसे electronics manufacturing cluster authority, who will be able to fast track the development, fast track the approvals, and ensure that this cluster is able to function efficiently. So we have to focus on large clusters. दूसरा, regulatory regime there has to be simplified to simplify implementation. Then explore PPP model also. What is this PPP model we are talking about? In PPP model, we are saying that bring private players, they will create common infrastructure, and then manufacturers can come as as part of plug and play model. They will have the PPP model में private players will create all the system. They will rent it to manufacturers. Manufacturers can just come and start manufacturing because they'll have all common facility. This model has also been quite successful all over the world. Then we have focus on improving support infrastructure. Like if you want to really have big electronics manufacturing facilities, you'll have to ensure consistent, assured supply of electricity, assured supply of billions of gallons of water. If you want to achieve that, and for this, what is needed? Improvement in general infrastructure is needed. अभी हम दिल्ली के सबसे एक्सपेंसिव रीजन में क्लासेस ले रहे हैं, यहाँ पे पावर कट हो जाता है. Ensuring no power cut in manufacturing sector of electronics would be very, very crucial. Then focus on human resource. Infrastructure, clusters, but human resource are equally important. So initially, we can do what? We can attract diaspora. Taiwan was successful in 1980s because it was able to attract its nationals from abroad who had experience in semiconductor industry. But in long term, we'll have to ensure that we retain our human resource within the country. So ensuring high quality courses in higher educational institution in the electronic sector, industry academia collaboration, so that in research which is happening in our colleges, in our higher educational institution, is in sync with what is in demand in the industry. Academia collaboration, like our institutions collaborating with institutions in Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Vietnam, where what is happening, electronics mein a lot of work is happening. So all these things would be needed to create better quality of human resource for serving in the which sector? In the electronic sector, and regularly appraise the existing government initiatives. We have various government schemes, programs, right? How effective they are, how can that be improved, what more steps can be taken. These are all the things that we should regularly keep on looking at, that we should regularly keep on improving in order to make इलेक्ट्रॉनिक सेक्टर रियली सक्सेसफुल. अभी हम मोबाइल मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में और मोबाइल असेंबली में अच्छा कर रहे हैं, बट विल हैव टू स्केल टू अदर areas of electronics or more core areas of electronics if we really want to achieve economic growth, employment, strategic advantage, national security. Without this, we'll continue remaining dependent on other countries and continue remaining very vulnerable.